Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to start the first chapter of the science subject of 7th standard. The first chapter is Nutrition in Plants. In 6th class, you learned that food is essential for all living organisms. You also learned that carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals are components of food. So in your 6th class, you have learned that food is necessary for all living organisms, and you have also learned that the proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals are components of foods. So these protein, fats, vitamins and minerals are called nutrients and are necessary for our body. These nutrients are very necessary for the working of our body. All living organisms require food. Plants can synthesize food for themselves, but animals including human cannot. It is very clear, all organisms require food for their living, but plants synthesizes their food. That means they make their own food, but animals including the human beings cannot. They are directly or indirectly dependent upon the plants. They get it from plants or animals that eats plants. Okay, thus humans and animals are directly or indirectly dependent on plants. So it is very clear that humans and animals are dependent on plant for their living, but plants make their own food. Bujo want to know how plants prepare their food. So it is given here. Mode of nutrition in plants. Plants are the only organisms that can prepare food for themselves by using water, carbon dioxide and minerals. The raw materials are present in their surroundings. So the plants can make their food with the help of water, carbon dioxide and minerals, and these are readily available in the environment. The nutrients enable living organisms to build their bodies, to grow, to repair damaged parts of their bodies, and provide the energy to carry out life processes. So nutrients are very essential for the organisms to build their bodies, to grow and repair damaged parts. Nutrition is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. The mode of nutrition in which organisms make food themselves from simple substances is called autotrophic. So the organisms that make their own food is called autotrophic. Auto means self and trophs means nourishment. Therefore, plants are called autotrophs. Animals and most other organisms take in food prepared by plants. They are called heterotrophs. So the plants make their own food, they are called autotrophs, and those who are dependent on the plants for their food are called heterotrophs. Paheli wants to know why our body cannot make food from carbon dioxide, water and minerals like plants do. Now we may ask whether the food factories of plants are located, whether food is made in all parts of a plant or only a certain parts. How do plants obtain the raw materials from the surroundings? How do they transport them to the food factories of plants? So the process of making of food in the plant is called photosynthesis. Food making process in the plants. Leaves are the food factories of plants. Therefore, all the raw materials must reach the leaf. So the leaves are the food factories in which the food is made. So the raw materials which are necessary that should be reached to the leaves. Water and minerals present in the soil are absorbed by the roots and transported to the leaves. So it is clear the nutrients which are in the soil are transported from the soil to the leaf. Carbon dioxide from air is taken in through the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. These pores are surrounded by guard cells. Such pores are called stomata. So you can see here, these are called stomata in the plant. Its stomata also look like this, but the figure is given down in the other page. Here it is stomata. It is tiny pores, and these are the guard cell for the stomata. So it is very clear from here. Water and minerals are transported to the leaves by the vessels which run like pipes throughout the root, the stem, the branches and the leaves. So the water and minerals are transported to the leaves by the vessels. So it is like vessels are like the pipe from which the minerals are transported from roots, stem and branches and then to the leaves. They form a continuous path or passage for the nutrients to reach the leaf. They are called vessels. You will learn more about it in chapter 11. Okay. So one more thing, this is a figure of cell. So you have seen that buildings are made of bricks. Similarly, the bodies of living organisms are made of tiny units called cell. These are tiny units of cells, and cells can be seen only under microscope. This can only be seen under a microscope. We cannot see from our eyes directly. Some organisms are made of only one cell. The cell is enclosed by a thin outer boundary called cell membrane. This is called a cell membrane, the outer boundary. And most of cells have a distinct centrally located spherical structure called the nucleus. This is the nucleus, and this is the power from where the power is generated in the cell. The nucleus is surrounded by jelly-like substance called cytoplasm. This jelly is called cytoplasm. So the leaves have a green pigment called chlorophyll. It helps leaves to capture the energy of the sunlight. So this green pigment, the green color of the leaf is called the chlorophyll, and this green color of the chlorophyll capture the energy of the sunlight. This energy is used to prepare food from carbon dioxide and water. So this energy is used to make food with the help of carbon dioxide and water. Since the synthesis of food occur in the presence of sunlight, it is called photosynthesis. It is very clear. Photo is light and synthesis means to combine. So we find that chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide and water are necessary to carry out the process of photosynthesis. It is a unique process on Earth. The solar energy is captured by the leaves and stored in the plant in the form of food. The sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. So it is very clear the leaves take the energy from the sun, and it helps the plant to make food. So the sun is the ultimate source, because from the sun then all the energy is generated and the leaf capture it. Plants make the food out of it, and the animals also eat food from the plants, and humans also. So we can see that the sun is the original source of energy for all living organisms. Can you imagine life on Earth in the absence of photosynthesis? No, we cannot imagine. It is very difficult to see without photosynthesis how we can survive. In the absence of photosynthesis, there would not be any food. The survival of almost all living organisms directly or indirectly depends upon the food made by the plants. Besides oxygen, which is essential for the survival of all organisms, is produced during photosynthesis. So it is clear that when the food is created, oxygen is generated by the leaves. So oxygen is obtained from the process of photosynthesis. In the absence of photosynthesis, life would be impossible on Earth. It is very clear. Besides leaves, photosynthesis also takes place in other green parts of the plant, in green stems and green branches. So photosynthesis also takes place in stems and branches which are in green in color. The desert plants have scale or spine-like leaves to reduce loss of water by transpiration. So they have leaves like a scale or spine to reduce the loss of water, because there is too much heat, so water get transpired. So during the transpiration, this structure of leaf helps the plants to reduce the loss of water. These plants have green stems which carry out photosynthesis. So these stems which are green in color, they carry out the process of photosynthesis. So you can see a simple example given in the figure of how the photosynthesis is taking place. The sun is here, the sunlight is coming, and the green leaves are absorbing it, and with the carbon dioxide, and oxygen is released, and chlorophyll is there in the leaf which is green in color. Water and minerals is here. So these are transferred to the leaves through roots and stems, and here there are vessels in between. So the vessels are carrying out the process of transporting the water and minerals to the leaves. So it is very clear from the diagram. During photosynthesis, chlorophyll containing cells of leaves in the presence of sunlight use carbon dioxide and water to synthesize carbohydrates. This process can be represented in the following equation. So carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll gives carbohydrate plus oxygen. So it was very clear. So here is also a diagram for leaf, structure of leaf. In the leaves there are chlorophyll. This is chlorophyll, and this is a tiny opening. It is called stomata. There is guard cell, which is the outer boundary. So it is very clear, and here is a zoom in picture of the leaf, which is a tiny pore, which is a stomatal opening, and a guard cell, which is zoomed out for your for helping you out. So here it was, and during the process of oxygen is released. So during this process of photosynthesis, oxygen is released. The presence of starch in leaves indicate the occurrence of photosynthesis. So the presence of starch in the leaf will indicate the photosynthesis had taken place. Starch is also a carbohydrate. Okay. Bhuja has observed some plant with deep red, violet, brown leaves. He wants to know whether these leaves also carry out photosynthesis. So there is an activity, you have to perform it. Take two potted plants of the same kind, keep one in the dark or in the black box for 72 hours and the other in sunlight. Perform iodine test with the leaf of both the plants as you did in the class 6. Record your result. Now leave the pot which was earlier kept in the dark in the sunlight for 3-4 days and perform the iodine test again on its leaves. Record your observation in your notebook. So the leaves other than green also have chlorophyll. The large amount of red, brown and other pigment mask the green color. Okay, this color masks the green pigment. The photosynthesis take place in these leaves also. These are the example of the leaves. You often see slimy green patches in pond or stagnant water bodies. These are generally formed by the growth of organisms called algae. Algae is formed in ponds and sea. You have seen where there is too much water collected together. You can see a green layer which is called algae. Can you guess why algae are green in color? They contain chlorophyll, that's why, which gives them a green color. Algae can also prepare their own food by photosynthesis. Okay, that's why they grow in huge amount over the water bodies. Synthesis of plant food other than carbohydrates. You have just learned that plant synthesizes carbohydrate through process of photosynthesis. The carbohydrates are made of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. These are used to synthesize other components of food such as proteins and fats. So you have seen carbohydrates are made of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and these are used to synthesize other components also, which are proteins and fat. But proteins are nitrogenous substances which contain nitrogen. That means proteins are generated from nitrogen. But from where do the plant obtain nitrogen? Recall that nitrogen is present in abundance in the gases formed in the air. There is too much nitrogen in the air, you know that. However, plants cannot absorb nitrogen in this form. In gaseous form, the plant cannot absorb this kind of nitrogen. So how it happens is soil has certain bacteria that convert gaseous nitrogen into a usable form and release it into the soil. So these bacteria are very helpful for the plant to absorb the nitrogen and give it to the soil. These are absorbed by the plant along with water. Okay, the water, when we water the plant, this nitrogen is transported through the roots and it contains nitrogen. Also, you might have seen farmer adding fertilizers rich in nitrogen to the soil. So farmers use rich nitrogenous fertilizers. In this way, the plants fulfill the requirement of nitrogen along with the other constituents. Plant can then synthesize proteins and vitamins. Other modes of nutrition in plant. There are many other forms. There are some plants which do not have chlorophyll. Okay, they cannot synthesize food. How do they survive and from where do they derive nutrition? Like humans and animals, such plants depend on the food produced by other plants. Okay, this kind of plants are also heterotype in nature. They consume food which is produced by other plants. So they use the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. In figure 1.5 we will see in the next page. Do you see a yellow wiry branch structure spinning around the stem and branches of a tree. This is a plant called Cuscuta amarbel. It does not have chlorophyll. It takes ready-made food from the plant on which it is climbing. The plant on which it climbs is called the host. Okay. Since it deprives the host of valuable nutrients, Cuscuta is called the parasite. Are we and other animals also kind of parasite? You should think about it and discuss with your teacher. So here is the Cuscuta plant, which is deriving the food from other plants, which is called the host. And this is the yellow covering is a Cuscuta plant, and it is taking food from other plant. So it is also a type of parasite. And Paheli wants to know whether mosquitoes, bedbugs, lice and leeches that suck out our blood are also parasite. Have you seen or heard of plants that eat animal? There are a few plants which can trap insects and digest them. Is it not amazing? Such plants may be green or some other color. Look at the plant in figure 1.6. This is the plant which they are referring to. So the pitcher like or jug like structure is the modified part of the leaf. This is the modified part of the leaf, and the apex of the leaf forms a lid. The apex it forms as a lid, and when inside the pitcher there is a hair which are directed downwards. So inside the pitcher there are hairs which helps in trapping the insect. When a insect lands on the pitcher, the lid closes and the trapped insect gets entangled into the hair. Okay, it is very clear. The lid closes and the insect is trapped. The insect is digested by the digestive juice secreted by the pitcher, and its nutrients are absorbed. Such insect eating plants are called insectivorous plants. It is possible that such plants do not get all the required nutrients from the soil in which they grow. So Bujo is confused. If the pitcher plant is green and carries out photosynthesis, then why does it feed on insects? Yeah, that's a nice question. Pitcher plant showing lid and pitcher. Now saprotrophs. You might have seen packets of mushrooms sold in the vegetable market. You may have also seen fluffy umbrella-like patches growing in moist soil or on rotting wood during the rainy season. In figure 1.7 you can see those plants. Let us find out what type of nutrients they need to survive and from where they get them. So these are mushrooms, packet of mushrooms, a mushroom growing in decayed material. This is a decayed material and the mushroom is growing on it. Bujo wants to know how these organisms acquire nutrients. They do not have mouths like animals do. They are not like green plants as they lack chlorophyll and cannot make food by photosynthesis. So here is an activity 1.2. Take a piece of bread and moisten it with water. Leave it in a moist, warm place for 2-3 days and until fluffy patches appears on them, as in figure 1.8. What is the color of these patches? Observe the patches under a microscope or a magnifying glass. Write down your observations in the notebook. You will see cotton-like threads spread on the piece of bread. So here is the fungi growing on the bread. You can see that even through the microscope. This is very dangerous. When there is this kind of fungus on your bread, you should not eat it. It is very bad for your health. These organisms are called fungi. They have different mode of nutrition. They absorb the nutrients from the bread. Okay, this mode of nutrition in which organisms take in nutrients from dead and decaying matter is called saprotrophic nutrition. So it is very clear that when something is decaying, this kind of organisms take their food from that decaying organism, and they are called saprotrophic plants. Such organisms with saprotrophic mode of nutrition are called saprotrophs. Fungi also grow on pickles, leather, clothes and other articles that are left in hot and humid weather for a long time. During the rainy season, they spoil many things. Ask your parents about the maintenance of fungi in your house. So you have all seen that there is when there is a heavy rain and your car is parked outside, so some water gets in, it gets humid, and all the seat which is made of leather gets this kind of fungi. And in your house also you can see in your clothes when you wash it in the rainy season, black patches appear on it. These are fungal spots. So the fungal spores are generally present in the air. When they land on wet and warm things, they germinate and grow. It is very clear these are present in the air when wet and warm atmosphere is created. They germinate and they grow in number. Now can you figure out how we can protect our things from getting spoiled? Some organisms live together and share both shelter and nutrients. This relation is called symbiosis. For example, certain fungi live inside the roots of plants. The plants provide nutrients to the fungus, and in return the fungus provide water and certain nutrients to them. So they both, this is the law of nature, that they help each other. Fungus grows in the roots of the plant, and the plant gets the nutrients. Fungus get the nutrients from the plant, and in return fungus provide water and certain nutrients to the plant also. In organisms called lichens, a chlorophyll containing partner, which is an alga, and a fungus live together. The fungus provides shelter, water and mineral to the alga, and in return the alga prepare and provide food for the fungus. They help each other in this way. How nutrients are replenished in the soil? Have you seen farmers spreading manure or fertilizer in the fields, or gardeners using them in lawn or in pots? Do you know why this is done? It is done to replenish the soil. You learned that plants absorb minerals and nutrients from the soil, so their amount in the soil keep on declining. Okay, because the plant are taking it from them, so it will decline. Fertilizers and manures contain nutrients such as nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, etc. So fertilizers are rich in nutrients like nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus, etc. These nutrients need to be added from time to time to enrich the soil. So it is very clear that soil needs nourishment so that the plants can get it from them. We can grow plants and keep them healthy if we can fulfill the nutrient requirements of the plants. Usually crop plants absorb a lot of nitrogen and the soil become deficient of nitrogen. You learned that through nitrogen gas is available in plenty in the air, plants cannot use it in that manner. They can use carbon dioxide. They need nitrogen in the soluble form. The bacterium called rhizobium can take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into usable form, but rhizobium cannot make its own food, so it often lives on the root of grams, peas, moong, beans and other legumes and provide them with nitrogen. In return, the plant provide food to them and shelter to the bacteria. So it is very clear the rhizobium lives in the root of these plants. So this kind of bacteria absorb the nitrogen from the atmosphere and give it to the plant, but in return they also need their food, so it is provided by the plant itself. They thus have a symbiotic relationship. It is very clear. This association is great significance for the farmers. They can reduce the use of nitrogenous fertilizers where leguminous plants are grown. Most of the pulses, dals are obtained from leguminous plants. In this chapter, you learned that most of the plants are autotrophs. Only a few plants are parasitic in nature or saprotrophic. They derive nutrition from other organisms. All animals are categorized as heterotrophic trophs since they depend on plants and other animals for food. Can we say that in the insectivorous plants are partial heterotrophs? Yes. So we have learned this in a nutshell. We will see what we have learned here. Okay. These are the keywords, you can see that, and we will see in a nutshell what we have learned. All organisms need food and utilize it to get energy for growth and maintenance of their body. So nutrition is very essential. So organisms need food to maintain their body. Green plant synthesizes food for themselves by the process of photosynthesis. They are autotrophs. Okay, so green plants make their own food and they are called autotrophs. Okay, plants like Cuscuta are parasites. They take food from the host plant. So we have seen that Cuscuta plant take food from the derive their nutrients from the host plant, and it deprives the host plant from its nutrients. Plant use simple chemical substance like carbon dioxide, water and minerals for the synthesis of food. Chlorophyll, water, carbon dioxide and sunlight are the essential requirements for photosynthesis. It is very clear that chlorophyll, water, carbon dioxide and sunlight is essential for the photosynthesis process, and during photosynthesis oxygen is produced, which is very essential for our for life to subsist on earth. Complex chemical substances such as carbohydrates are the products of photosynthesis. These are complex products like carbohydrates is a product of photosynthesis. Solar energy is absorbed by the chlorophylls present in the leaf. Okay, oxygen is produced during photosynthesis. Oxygen released in photosynthesis is utilized by living organisms for their survival. It is very clear. Many fungi derive nutrition from dead and decaying matter. We have seen that in an example of the bread. They are saprotrophs. A few plants and all animals are a few plants and all animals are dependent on others for their nutrition and are called heterotrophs. It is very clear. So this chapter is finished, and we will continue with the next chapter in the next class. Thank you.